Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman. And yeah, we have a great show planned for you today where, let's see. So yeah, and welcome into the program. So today on the program, it's, we're a little frazzled here because our guest had to cancel last second, no big deal. Happens sometimes, being live radio, it is what it is. But obviously, we will have to reschedule our guest. Really looking forward to it. And we're going to go ahead and just continue on. So our guest that was scheduled for today will be rescheduled. I think he's already booked for, a week and a half in advance. So check it out there if you're looking forward to that. Today on the show, though, we will be doing computer and technology news. And that is, of course, a segment dedicated to all things computer, technology, news related, all that good stuff. You can definitely check it out. Check out what we have to offer because there's a lot of different stories that I really, really would like to get to. Some of them are just plain interesting, and others are, well, how do you put it? They're kind of bad for a couple companies, good for others. I think there's even a cancer warning about 5G. I know that wireless signals and the relationship that they have to cancer has been an area that a lot of people don't put a lot of stock into, but there's obviously still a lot of, there's a lot of research still going into, our cell phones and cell phone signals and all this good stuff dangerous for us? And that's a good question to answer. But more questions are arising through 5G. More stories and those coming up here in the next hour. So a couple things before we get started, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything and anything having to do with the show today. Be that the show notes. So if you want a link to any article, video, products, anything that we talk about here today, we will include it in the show notes and a link for your convenience. Also, while you're there, check out the social media contest brought to you by Logitech, as well as the live video stream, which you can also find over at twitch.tv/Computer America. Okay. And so to all the regulars out there, thank you for tuning in. To everyone who will be listening to this in the podcast in the future, thank you for joining us, and everyone else in between. Hey, happy that you could join us here on Computer America. So let's go ahead and get started. Computer and technology news. All right, there you have it. So today we are going to start with this one, and I really want to get through this because it's I've heard some of these claims about radiation and electromagnetic waves and radio waves and 4G, 5G, cell phone signal, all that kind of thing. And for a lot of reasons, that's why you get every couple of years you get these scares. It's like, hey, if you're trying to, if you're going to try for a baby, make sure not to keep your phone in your pocket because it's a little bit too close to the, what's, and the radio waves are going to fry, the little guys. And, every couple of years, something like that pops up. I don't think there's ever been like a definitive link. There's been some research suggesting that there may be more testing is needed. But technology has blazed ahead, regardless of any kind of potential what ifs. Kind of what we're used to is just being surrounded constantly. Like we are angry when we don't have 4G LTE currently at a 5-bar signal on our phone, which of course, if it's on your phone, that means it's obviously near you. Well, that's where the Bay Area comes into the picture. Now, I have to preface this by saying that the Bay Area is a bit on the, if there's a chance, then we have to kind of let people know about this. I believe they were the one who put the cancer warning on coffee, even though the only results that caffeine had showed, or I'm sorry, not even caffeine, that coffee showed in relation to cancer was that if you drank like 60 gallons a day, then there was a small chance that you would develop a certain kind of cancer. That's the kind of people that we're talking about, but let's see if they have a legitimate reason to do this. And so the Bay Area may be the center of global technology industry, but that hasn't stopped one wealthy enclave from protecting itself from the future. Where the City Council of Mill Valley, which is a small town located just a few miles north of San Francisco, voted unanimously last week to effectively block deployment of small cell 5G wireless towers in the city's residential areas. Which can be good and can be bad. Obviously, hopefully later on in the article, it's going to really show that there's some kind of evidence that a strong continuous signal of a 5G tower would have any kind of effect on someone's health, in which case this makes complete sense. Another case is that this is simply Mill Valley. It's a small town in the vicinity of San Francisco. This is not the Bay Area. This is one small one small town next to the Bay Area. But they said that through an urgency ordinance, which allows the council to immediately enact regulation that affects the health and safety of the community. The restrictions and prohibitions, will be put into force immediately for all future applications to site 5G telecommunications equipment in the city. So everyone else, or at least in the commercial districts of that city, they will have to get permits or passed under ordinance. The ordinance was driven by community concerns over the health effect of 5G wireless antennas, where, according to the city, it received 145 pieces of correspondence from citizens voicing opposition to the technology, compared to just 5 letters to support of it. Obviously, that is going to be something akin to an online review. If you have if you go somewhere and you have a perfectly fine, a good experience at a restaurant, you're probably not as motivated to go say something as opposed to if you found something in your food. If you have a very bad experience, if you have a very negative feeling towards something, that is going to take a lot more, or that's going to motivate someone a lot more than a neutral or positive feeling. This is something that's well documented. So the fact that they received 145 pieces to 5 pieces, and compare that to the total number of residents, which is 14,000. So about 1% of the population voted, and about 3% voted for, and 97% voted against. I don't know. It seems like a very drastic move, but one that could obviously very easily be reversed. Let's see. So let's get to the meat of this. Perhaps most importantly, these small cells emit less radiation since they're not designed to provide as wide of a coverage area as traditional cell sites. The telecom industry has long denied a link between antennas and health outcomes, although California's Department of Public Health has issued warnings about potential health effects of personal cell phone antennas. personal cell phone antennas. I think those are the ones that you purchase for your home that give you strong cell signal throughout your house. And they say that there's warnings against that, but obviously nothing that will, nothing that's causing them to be discontinued from sale from people's homes. Anywho, reduced radiation emissions from 5G antennas compared to 4G antennas would presumably further reduce any health effects of this technology. So they said that restrictions like Mill Valley's will make it nearly impossible to deploy 5G in a timely manner. As one industry rep told the author in an interview, it takes about 18 months to get a permit to deploy and about 2 hours to install. So obviously, 18 months of bureaucracy followed by 2 hours of actual physical work. Multiplied by hundreds of sites required to cover a reasonably sized urban neighborhood, and the 5G rollout goes beyond daunting to well near impossible. And so Mill Valley, they reacted very quickly to this. 145 of the residents felt that this was something that they needed to voice their opinion about. Obviously, there was no kind of campaign to, talk about the benefits of having 5G coverage in an area, which, by all accounts, and we're going to talk about 5G a bit more when we talk about Apple, but 5G has a lot of benefits compared to 4G. Like they said, it's a bit it's a bit reduced. The further it gets, it's not as widespread as 4G is. But if you are within a reasonable distance of a 5G cell tower, your speeds are going to be really going from 100 megabits up and down, which is the theoretical, or it's like 100 or 75 or something like that. Anyways, the theoretical of the 4G LTE network is like 100 megabits per second up and down. A 5G network will give you 1 gigabyte, so about 10 times the speed. And when you think about what you can do with that data, everything from higher quality, security cameras to maybe even home internet connections that are powered exclusively through 5G, to just, of course, data, streaming to your phone and other SIM connected appliances. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to just faster internet speed. If you told someone, hey, we can give you 10 times the internet speed, they would say, that's awesome. Where do I sign? But now it's being delayed by, and again, like, I'm not saying that everything that the telecom industry says has to be true, but I will say I have yet to see any kind of strong relationship between cell phone signal, especially 5G in this particular case, not just 4G or cell phone signals in general, but that 5G, continuous exposure to 5G, really poses a significant health threat. And until that happens, the Bay Area, this city may be completely justified, but I don't feel like they have the, if I lived there, I would be a little bit mad because I don't feel that the science would justify delaying my faster Netflixing. There you have. And so check that out. Obviously, any of these homes, they mentioned it was residential. This is not commercial. A lot of these homes are going to be using Wi-Fi. So cell phone service, cell phone signal really doesn't mean all that much. And as I said, even before that, odds are it's already being serviced by 4G towers. It's simply putting these 5G towers closer to residential buildings that and as someone in the chat room pointed out, that the HOA probably was really, really rallying against. So good job. Check that out. So there's that. Not as big of a cancer scare as I was thinking it was going to be. I thought there was going to be some legitimate arguments to be, obviously to be made here, but nope. Looks like mainly a scare tactic. There you have that. Let's go ahead, switch on over to, let's go from 5G to 5G. But this one's about Apple. Apple, according to TechCrunch and let's see, author Danny Christian, Apple's 5G iPhone conundrum, which I was pretty unaware that Apple had a 5G conundrum. Let's go ahead and check this out. Wednesday is Apple's big product release day, where analysts expect to. I'm sorry, folks. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Sorry. I have to make a call because I believe right outside the. Let's see. All right, everyone, sorry for that. Let's go ahead and continue on. Apple, 5G, their concerns. They said that obviously the conventional wisdom among analysts is that Apple will ignore 5G in 2018 and 2019, just as it took extra time to roll out 3G and 4G in the iPhone. A typical example of this analysis comes from Chris Smith at BGR, who says that, quote, "We already saw that what Apple did to 4G LTE. The company waited for carriers to actually, they waited for the carriers to actually offer decent coverage before launching the first 4G phone. And now the iPhone 5, and of course that was with the iPhone 5, where it was about a year after that the first Android-based 4G LTE phone actually came out." Anyways, they said that, the author says he's not nearly as convinced, but China is becoming one of Apple's most popular markets for its smartphones, and particularly for its flagship iPhone 10. Its greater China revenue in the third quarter of this year was almost $10 billion, and its operating income from the region was just shy of Europe's. More importantly, Greater China is just slightly behind the Americas as the fastest growing region for Apple sales. I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised. China, 3 to 4 times the population of the United States. The United States, in a lot of ways, you would consider a saturated market when it comes to smartphones and Apple technology in general. And for America to still be Apple's fastest growing market, that genuinely surprises me. They said that that makes 5G a particularly challenging issue for the company. China has made 5G leadership a critical pillar of its industrial strategy, and many analysts believe that the country will set pace for 5G rollouts globally. Furthermore, Chinese consumers are deeply interested in buying premium products and experiences, and adoption for 5G is expected to be strong and rapid. I guess what they're saying there is that obviously China is very, 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 very interested in getting 5G. They've promised it to their citizens. They said that this is what's going to bring China the technology dominance that was promised. But now that may be the number one leading cause for Apple to potentially adopt 5G devices in all of its markets. Apple would find itself falling behind its competitors in a fast-moving and critical growth market. While the company has built a brand in the country with devoted fans, its place in the market is not nearly as secure in the United States. They said that instead, the author expects Apple will use smoke signals to clearly demonstrate that it intends to remain at the cutting edge of 5G deployment. That could include joining certain industry trade groups, which testing the technology in a more public fashion, and potentially releasing a roadmap next year, saying at the WWDC, which is traditionally held in June and thus earlier in the year than its September iPhone events. And from everything I'm hearing about this, so the conundrum is Apple is more than comfortable riding just behind the wave of technology, waiting for it. And this is mainly, this is going to be an operating cost kind of thing. If they by the last generation 4G, wireless cell signal chips or whatever, or antenna, they're going to save a lot of money because paying for the new cutting edge 5G antenna that everyone is going to be talking about, that there's going to be a lot more demand and it's going to cost them a lot more money. If they can put out a phone and hopefully no one really cares that there's not 5G, it's still 4G, and they can save themselves, $30 a phone, that's a lot of money in Apple's pocket. And then next year, when everyone has grown accustomed to it and everyone expects 5G, not just, hey, this is a neat toy, not just that 5G is, hey, this is neat, but rather 5G is, hey, this is needed, this is crucial for any kind of smartphone. That's where Apple comes in with the 5G and goes, hey, we're there too, don't worry. It's not a bad strategy. Obviously, as someone who enjoys technology, I would hope that Apple would always go for the best and the best and the greatest. But I'm kind of going against this author. This author really thinks that because everyone is hoping for 5G, that Apple's going to kind of bend this one time and launch 5G earlier than everyone expects. But that's not Apple's MO, and I don't think enough people, obviously by the story that we just read, especially here in the United States, 5G isn't really a known enough technology. We talk about it here on the show. We have heard, different people come on the show and talk about 5G as a technology. It's very cool, but to the everyman, 4G only mattered when Netflix stopped buffering. 4G LTE only mattered when FaceTime stopped lagging. There's never been a point where they say, hey, look, a new industry standard, everyone should get this, and everyone has just immediately snapped over to the other side. So that's kind of my feeling on that one. 5G, probably not this year. If you're looking for the best in wireless chip technology, you're undoubtedly going to have to go with Android up until this point. And I think that could actually segue us to it could be a nice segue to a particular, I think it's Android based. Let's talk real quickly about this new phone and what it has, because I think it's going to be, depending on how it works, this is the technology that everyone is going to be utilizing here in the near future. This is where Engadget posted this article saying that OnePlus 6T. So OnePlus, they're a brand of phone. They are pretty popular. Obviously, I don't think that they're on the level of Apple, Samsung, and Google in terms of their phone. But OnePlus does have a very devout following, and they're a good phone. But now they have finally introduced something that, it's pretty darn cool. And so if you're watching the video portion, you can kind of watch it there, a video from Engadget. But an in-display fingerprint reader. So if you have an iPhone or an Android phone, you know that some of them, either on the front or the back, there's a home button or some kind of little spot where you can scan a fingerprint. It works pretty good, in my experience, especially with the iPhone. It works very good. There's a lot, there's a lot to like about it. Now, like they always had like a special sensor that you had to touch, but now here's the difference: one smooth, seamless display. That's what they're hoping for. That's the dream. Get away from that single home button that so many phones out there use, and instead have a spot on the screen that is sensitive enough, built in, and obviously undetectable, just from looking at it, that could scan your finger and unlock your phone, or for whatever you use your fingerprint scanner for. They said that OnePlus confirmed the feature, dubbed the screen lock, saying that it had initially planned for the fingerprint reader to be included in the OnePlus 5T. But that the technology wasn't quite ready for public release at the time, saying that we unlock our phones multiple times a day and screen unlock reduces the number of steps to complete that action. By adding this feature as an addition to other display unlocking options, such as Face Unlock, users will have the option to unlock the display in a way that is most efficient for them. The OnePlus 6T will join a small group of phones offering the feature, which include a handful of models from Vivo and the pricey Porsche-designed Huawei Mate RS. So, pretty darn cool. I think this is going to be coming to a lot more phones. Again, if you're privacy-minded, don't use a fingerprint reader, don't use a face scanner to unlock your phone. Just use a traditional PIN code. OnePlus 6T has an in-screen unlock feature for your fingerprint. I think it's pretty darn cool. So, okay, let's see. Lots more stories, lots more to talk about. We can talk about real quick. That's a bit too heady. How about Vizio? Vizio is not having a good day. If you've ever went shopping for a TV, not just a smart TV like we're going to be talking about, but if you've ever been shopping for a TV, undoubtedly you have checked out Vizio. They flooded the market. They have very affordable televisions, which seem to have all the right bells and whistles. And I think I would not be surprised at this point if they were the number one selling smart TV or just plain TV in the country. Because they were affordable, price matters when you're looking at this. And if it's decent and price matters, you're going to go with Vizio. But here's the problem for Vizio. This, according to Ars Technica, Vizio, sued for making creepy smart TVs, will notify customers via the TV. And there was this whole thing about data collection that happened a couple of years ago. I'm sure that this is what they're talking about. So 2015, there was a revelation that Vizio TVs, and particularly smart TVs, were spying on customers, listening to their viewing habits. I think in some cases they were, it was mainly just viewing habits and sending the data off to be used elsewhere. They said that what is likely to be a first in the industry, Vizio is on the verge of agreeing to display a class action lawsuit message through its previously sold smart TV. And in Melter of Snowflakes in the chat room says that he likes his Vizio TV. Trust me, we at our house, we have a Vizio TV. We have like a 55-inch smart TV. It was on sale on like a Black Friday or something like that, and we got the thing for like $400 when every other smart TV on the market was like $800 to $1,200, before you even start getting into, the real pricey options. Trust me, a lot of people like their Vizio TVs. That's it's not about whether or not people like them. It's not that they're crappy TVs. It's that they're creepy TVs. And this is where the lawsuit. So if you have a smart TV and you have a Vizio TV, don't just mindlessly turn off this message that they are going to be displaying across their sets. They said that so anyone with a smart TV from Vizio in this time period that was spying on them and they're therefore eligible to join this class action lawsuit, they will be notified not through a letter, not through mail, not through any kind of postings or news stories or anything like that. If you are able to be included in this class action lawsuit, they're just going to tell you directly through the object that made you eligible for the class action, right through your television set. They said that obviously the tracking started in February 2014 on both new TVs and previously sold devices that didn't originally ship with ACR software installed. The software periodically appended IP addresses to the collected data, and also made it possible for more detailed personal information, including age, gender, income, marital status, household size, education level, home ownership, and home values to be associated. So that's a bit more than just what you're watching. I take that back. That's some creepy stuff that you get your age, marital status, household income, education level, all this stuff to be associated with what you were, with the TV that you purchased. Eventually, the company agreed to pay $2.2 million to settle a complaint brought by the FTC. However, this new settlement is related to an entirely separate lawsuit, one that was consolidated in federal court in Los Angeles. Let's see. So they have a quote here saying, quote, "The parties are developing a class notice program that with direct notifications to the class through Vizio Smart TV displays, saying that the additional time requested will allow the parties to confirm that the notice program proposed in the motion for the preliminary approval, blah, 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 the fact that it works. Everyone, Vizio, if you see a message, set up, take notice." Music means we are back. Everyone, Computer America, more after this. Stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And we're doing computer and technology news. Again, our guest that was scheduled for today, unfortunately, was not able to join us. They are, they rescheduled. They'll be here in about a week and a half if you wanted to hear that. And in the meantime, we'll be doing computer technology news. You can also check us out tomorrow as we have on the program, slipped my mind. There we go. Author Dan Cobalt. And he will be on to obviously talk about his books and what it is that he does. So he's of course he's putting the science in fiction. Obviously, that's his book that he wrote. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I love talking to authors because more than anyone, they seem to be the people that really go through, do a lot of research, and really understand the topic thoroughly. So looking forward to having our conversation. And so let's go ahead. Let's switch over from Vizio. Again, if you have a Vizio TV and it's a smart TV, not just a traditional normal, TV. If you have a Vizio smart TV and you purchased it around 2014, 2015, 2016, I think that they ended the collection program somewhere around 2015. But between 2014 and 2015, if you purchase your smart TV, then you may see an image pop up on your television. And that would be the indication that you need to go to, I'm sure, some kind of website, some kind of claim, and fill out some paperwork to be a part of a class action lawsuit settlement. Yeah, so I don't know what you're going to do with your $20, but hey, here's to hope you do something fun. Check that out. Check that out. Let's switch on over. So, lawyers. No offense. I'm sure some of them are good people. But, yeah. Lawyers can be a whole topic onto itself. That's why we have this article here that I found very interesting after hearing about a chatbot that had the ability to file and dismiss parking tickets and parking fines all by itself, no lawyer needed. Because before you had to pay a lawyer $100 or so to clear up a parking ticket for you, or you just shut up and paid it. That's not exactly. I don't know. That's not a bad thing. I think that lawyers can be I'm sorry. I think that chatbots that replace lawyers can certainly be a very good thing, because not every legal matter is nuanced. Not every legal matter is going to be the legal breaking, hit drama on HBO. Some of them are just, hey, I need to file, something for my taxes. I have a parking something. I need a permit. Something pretty basic that you might have to hire a lawyer for. That's where a company called Atrium LTS. That's where they're coming in and hopefully trying to really shake up the market. They said that, and this is actually by Twitch's co-founder, Justin Kan. He has, and it's his machine learning startup that digitizes legal documents and builds applications on top to speed up fundraising, commercial contracts, equity distribution, and employment issues. Where, for example, one of its apps automatically turns startup funding documents into Excel cap tables. Pretty simple. Automating expensive legal labor has led to a rapid rise to 110 employees and 250 clients, 110 employees and 250 clients for the company. Atrium only came out of stealth a year ago with $10.5 million, in its initial funding, and today it announced that it raised $65 million, and of course that would go to help build up their platform and the company. They said that, and of course the founder, he said that I'm pretty stoked about that because of having more resources for Atrium. I wanted a visionary who's always going to push for us to build something really big, and that's what they've done. They said that with a massive influx of cash, Atrium will be able to develop more internal tools, and it can use to crank out client work faster than its traditional competitors. We can ultimately be the platform on top of which we're building those legal businesses, and eventually other professional services and software services. They're all sitting on top of the platform that understands legal documents. So let's see. The article goes in a bit more, obviously, about his fundraising, that kind of thing. TechCrunch is very, very keen on kind of startups and angel investors and things like that. But suffice to say, I found this very, very cool. They said that yet if Atrium can ease clients into this new world service by service, it could generate network effects that fuel the whole business. It's just a matter of prioritization. One of the first things I always need to focus on is focusing, and that's sometimes a blind spot. That's what the founder said. Saying that as an entrepreneur, I have a tendency to take on too much. But we've seen this before. We've seen it work well. I think that it can be applied to a lot more matters, some very, very basic legal matters. And hey, if you don't have to hire a law firm to, file something, if you could just punch in your information and let it generate itself, that could be a real changer. That could be a real game changer for a lot of professions. So that was pretty darn cool. Looking forward to see what Atrium, of course, has to show for it. Maybe we'll try to get them on the show. Obviously, they're just a startup and they're probably very, very busy. But I think it would be a very interesting interview to see what they're hoping to do with the technology. There's that one. Let's switch on over. We did the Vizio. We did the Bay Area. How about we discuss that one? Let's discuss Walmart. I know, a sentence you never want to hear. But that's where we're going. We're going to Walmart, and Walmart is trying out some new technology that you may want to hear about. This is where they're experimenting with, no, not on its customers. How dare you think that? Walmart is experimenting with wireless power to cut battery costs, where the retail giant is partnering with a startup, Asia, to test the new technology. This coming to us from Engadget. Ms. Swapna Krishna talking about today, Asia announced that it has struck a deal with Walmart to explore how its wireless power technology can be used by the retail giant. Walmart is hoping to save money on the power costs on power costs across its many stores, and they've confirmed the report to Engadget, saying that, quote, "When we find ways to lower costs, it means that we can lower our prices even further for customers. And that's something we're always looking to do. And as part of that, we've been exploring new ways we might lower our power costs in our stores, clubs, and facilities." One interesting technology that we're excited to test is wireless power transfer from the company Asia, which could one day reduce and even eliminate our daily dependence on batteries and wired connection for power. Why that matters, I don't know. Let's hope they get to it. But Asia is a startup that developed a technology capable of delivering truly wire-free charging. And the tech is able to beam electricity to devices in order to power and charge them. They don't have to be in contact with any sort of mat, and they just have to be in range of the transmitters. The tech has been around for years, but no one has really taken advantage of it, which makes Walmart, as its first real retail partner, hey, it could be really exciting. For now, according to VentureBeat, the tests will be limited, but if they are promising, Walmart's director of public relations said that they have the option to expand in the future, saying that one interesting technology we're excited to test is the wireless power transfer from a company named Asia, obviously, and hey, they're trying to eliminate batteries. Not only does that give Asia a giant potential commercial customer, but it also allows the company to demonstrate its technology to the customers who walk through Walmart stores on a daily basis. So, yeah, we'll see what I can do. In my mind, everything that is currently using a battery, I'm trying to think how they could use wireless beaming, electricity charging technology to reduce their reliance on batteries. The only thing I can think of is maybe you have multiple batteries within a store for walkie-talkies, the scanning guns, for really anything battery powered in the store. And instead of having multiple batteries in case one runs dead, you can swap it out. If it's in a fixed location, or you can charge it very, very quickly anywhere within the store, then you reduce the amount of batteries that you have to have lying around just doing nothing. And if you're charging one battery instead of two batteries, then hey, you're cutting your energy cost for those devices in half. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if you multiply it times however many millions of Walmart stores, all right, they probably don't have millions, but if you multiply it by however many stores that Walmart owns, if the technology is successful in reducing its power, costs, then a company as big as Walmart could really make the change and make others come onto the scene and say, if Walmart's doing it and it's working for them, why couldn't wireless technology or wireless powering technology work for us? Could be that. So there you have it. Check that out, Walmart. How about we go ahead, swap on over to... Okay, we have two stories here. They're pretty long. I've been kind of putting them off because I, kind of didn't really want to, get into it and then go to break and then come back to it. Let's start with the first one, cryptocurrency, and then we'll move on to the second one, and that will probably take us through the rest of the show. But this first story, this is coming to us from Engadget again. There we go. New York State approves $2 based cryptocurrency. $2 based. So I apologize for the way I said that. not a $2 based cryptocurrency, but 2 individual US dollar based cryptocurrencies. They said that's New York approved. Yeah, they said that New York approved the first digital currencies that are tied to the United States dollar, called stablecoins, which to a lot of people kind of defeats the purpose of a cryptocurrency, but I digress. These cryptocurrencies avoid the price volatility of their brethren by being pegged to stable assets. The digital currency in question from Gemini Trust Company and Paxos Trust Company are available to trade on their respective exchanges. It's a good sign that cryptocurrency is maturing. Of course, not in the way that the people who were first interested in cryptocurrency were hoping. They were hoping for cryptocurrency people, they were kind of hoping for something that was completely separated from any other entity, from any government oversight, from any individual body. It was just simply, here's a coin, here's how many they are, here's how to get more, and the value that is put into them, the amount of money that people are willing to trade one, let's say Bitcoin, because that's the most popular, the amount of money that people are willing to pay for one Bitcoin, that's the value of Bitcoin. If everyone decided tomorrow, Bitcoin's stupid, I don't want these anymore, and everyone sold them to whoever would buy them, the price could crash down to, less than a penny. And no one would have anything to say about it because it's completely decentralized. That's not the prerogative of these 2 new cryptocurrencies. They are, as I said, pinned to the dollar. They said that the Winklevoss twins, whose fame rose from a lawsuit suing Mark Zuckerberg for stealing their idea from Facebook, have become major players in the cryptocurrency world. They are behind Gemini Trust Company, and the currency, as I said, is pegged to the US dollar on a 1-to-1 basis. The company will hold US currency that corresponds with all issued Gemini dollars at a bank eligible for the FDIC's pass-through insurance. So it sounds like that's actually a pretty dumb idea, honestly. So I guess every time someone buys a Gemini coin, which they created, they invented, every time that you buy a Gemini coin, they will take $1 and store it in a bank account for you. Obviously, there is really no interest. There's no interest in holding Gemini coin, but there is in money. And I guess as the price of fiat currency fluctuates, if ever so slightly, your investment in these coins, while not having a strict dollar amount, could in fact earn you a little bit of money. Obviously, if the dollar goes up, you sell your coins, you get your money back. That's how you do it. I'm not sure what the benefit of this is over just holding, instead of holding one virtual token, instead of just one physical US dollar. I kind of don't get that. It's kind of being weird. But the value of the cryptocurrency is pegged to the dollar is that the regular fiat currencies only operate during certain preset business hours. A stablecoin opens up fiat currency trading to all hours, regardless of when the currency is actually available for exchange, saying that, quote, to date, there has been no trusted and regulated digital representation of the dollar, and that moves in open, decentralized manner like cryptocurrency. He goes on to call the Gemini dollar the world's first regulated stablecoin. As I said before, a lot of people behind cryptocurrency, a lot of people who believe in cryptocurrency, buy into cryptocurrency, and trust cryptocurrency do not trust fiat dollars, or at least they don't like fiat dollars. They like cryptocurrency because it separates itself from the US dollar and other currency like that. If the only benefit that you have is that you can buy a Gemini coin at 4 a.m. because you are up at 4 a.m. making poor decisions, hence by the fact that you're up at 4 a.m. And you really, really, really want to trade US dollars, I don't see why a separate cryptocurrency is really needed for that. This is such a weird story, but New York State has approved it, and now we got to hear about it. There you have it. Okay, so there's that one. Obviously, the Winklevoss twins, they they have their own history to them. Can't deny that. We'll see how this goes. Let's swap on over. We have maybe 4 or 5 more stories. Obviously, not going to get to them all. You can check them out at computeramerica.com in the show notes. But one story, again, I did want to get to. It's going to take a little while, but it's something that that we should definitely hear about. So you've heard of Google, correct? Google is that thing that is officially the internet to a lot of people over a certain age. Google has this new thing due to the European courts. They have decided that the right to be forgotten be a right that people have. So if you were, if you went through a messy divorce, if you went bankrupt, if you, kind of did any random thing that by ordinary standards would stay on the internet forever, as long as the website and the source material were there and there were backups and there was the, and there was the Internet Archive. A lot of what gets put on the internet stays there for forever. Now we have this idea that citizens have the idea that they can be forgotten. That if you went through a bankruptcy proceeding and it's 7 years later and your credit report is still damaged because, hey, they can Google you and they can see that you went through a bankruptcy. They say that you should be able to put in a ticket, submit a form to Google and say, hey, stop indexing that story about me. I have a right to be forgotten. That was in the past. It no longer has bearing on today's, on my situation today. Google, delete that. Which, of course, is not how the internet works. The information is still where it was originally found. It's simply the idea that Google doesn't index it indefinitely. Very different thing, but that's the world we live in. If it's not on Google, it doesn't exist, or so they think. Now, this article coming from The Guardian saying that the right to be forgotten online is in danger of being transformed into a tool of global censorship. And that's through a test case at the European Court of Justice this week. Free speech organizations are warning. An application by the French data regulator for greater power to remove out-of-date or embarrassing content from internet domains around the world will enable authoritarian regimes to exert control over publicly available information. And that is according to a British-led alliance of NGOs. They said that the right to be forgotten was originally established by a European Court of Justice ruling in 2014 after a Spaniard sought to delete an auction notice of his repossessed home dating from 1998 on the website of a mass circulated newspaper in Catalonia. He had resolved his Social Security debts, he said, and his past troubles should no longer be automatically linked to him whenever anyone searched for his name on Google. The power to delist from online searches was limited to national internet domains. Now, of course, that can happen anywhere at any time. They said that, that the judgment allowed European citizens to ask search engines to remove links to inadequate, irrelevant, or excessive content. And while the content itself remains online, it cannot be found through online search engines or online searches of the individual's name. That's my big thing with this, is that even though Google may not catalog it, doesn't mean that the information is taken down. And I guess to some people, that's an okay line to draw. As long as someone can't find it, then it doesn't exist. But to a lot of people out there that really knows what's going on, I'm at the same time, I'm kind of okay with it, because as long as the information is out there somewhere, and eventually, if you dig far enough, if you go to the right places, if you find the right sources, you can still find the information that needs to be found. I'm okay with that, even if it's not the first thing that pops up. Maybe hide it in Google search results page 3, because obviously no one goes past page 2, let alone page 1. maybe bury it down or de-rank it. But yeah, they said that Google is resisting the claim on the grounds that it would set a precedent for authoritarian regimes to limit free speech. Again, that claim was that the French data regulator is seeking to extend the power so that it applies universally. That would permit national regulators to hide articles deemed unacceptable, not only from their own cyberspace, such as google.fr, but also from global domains, including google.com, and from those of other countries. So the French are taking this. This used to be the rights for, the right to be forgotten were for individuals, who wanted, the irrelevant information halted. Now, French regulators are saying, hey, this should apply to government organizations or different, charities or, entire governments should have the right to be quote unquote forgotten, which is a stretch, but legally speaking, is it enough of a stretch to, kind of catch them up on it? Now, France's data regulator, the commission, essentially the National Commission on Intelligence, has argued that if it upholds a complaint by the French citizen, search engines such as Google should not only be compelled to remove links from Google FR, but all Google domains altogether. They said that. They said that human rights organizations, Article 19, whose name derives from the clause in the UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights, blah, 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 they fear that access to all sorts of media and information could be severely restricted if states such as China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia adopt a similar approach. You can see where this starts to get sticky. If Google.fr, if the French domain of Google decides that X link is not to be displayed anymore, if they if the French government decides that this article is no longer relevant and it is harmful for us and it should not be displayed, then if this holds up, they don't just remove it from google.fr, but they remove it from google.com and every other national domain out there for Google. Now, that's okay for the French. We like the French. We are allies. They make smelly food, but that's okay. Take someone who we don't see eye to eye with on a lot of issues, such as human rights and protest and, women's rights, gay rights, all of these different human rights that we've kind of fought for. Now, imagine if Russia decides that they don't like this link of let's say discrimination against a certain group for something that is attributed to the Russian government. The Russian government decides this is not fair, this is not right, we don't like this, take it down. And then the same court case is brought up. If it worked for France, it should work for Russia, and suddenly Russia is able to censor the results of Google. China is able to do the same thing. Saudi Arabia is able to do the same thing. Country after country after country, you start to homogenize behind a set of search results that don't fit each individual country, let alone the idea of freedom of information. And yeah, so let's see, a couple of comments from the chat room here. If Google bothers to show you the results at all. And that's kind of the thing where Google, like everyone treats Google as the internet. When I hope most people know, Google is not the internet. Google is the way that a lot of people find new information. Admittedly, that's correct. But just because it's not cataloged and resulted from Google doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And that happens plenty of times. Really, if you have a problem with what's popping up about you, you shouldn't take your complaint to Google. You should take your complaint to whoever is hosting that data, and you should make your case to them. You should say, hey, you have my mugshot up. I was never convicted of a crime, yet you have my mugshot with a false accusation. That's who you take it up with, not the person who is simply displaying the data. There's a lot more to this, and unfortunately not enough time. We'll see what happens with the right to be forgotten, but it's a very nuanced article, and I knew it would take a lot of time. Yeah, and you better not use my mugshot. But hey, to everyone out there in the chat room and everyone out there listening on IRN, thank you so much for tuning into Computer America. Be sure to catch us tomorrow again, as we have planned an author all about putting the science into fiction. It's going to be a lot of fun. Love talking with authors. They usually write very, very fun books, and it's always a great conversation. Until tomorrow, everyone, have a great day. Stay safe, stay dry. I know that our station's here in the Carolinas, and we have a hurricane to look forward to, so I probably have to go batten down the hatches. Everyone, be safe, be good. Join us here tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.